Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Chloe and I sell things online to earn a living. Predominantly eBay, but there's a little bit of Vinted and other platforms in there. I'm going to do a quick sales roundup from the bank holiday weekend. I'm just going to include eBay today just because it's a little bit simpler and it doesn't take quite so long. But yeah, I've written it all down. If you've not seen these kind of videos from me before, then I will include like all the breakdown of the fees and things, rather than just saying this cost me £5, I sold it for 20, move on to the next one. I'm going to do obviously the cost of goods, the fees, the overall profit, and obviously what it sold for, and then the profit that I made from that sale, and then include whether it was promoted or not promoted. These videos go down quite well and I just haven't had a chance to sit down and do one. This is the first one I'm doing since I opened my new eBay store. It's also the first one in my office. As you can tell, it's a bit bland at the minute. We're getting there. We need furniture, we need decor, but at the minute it's just somewhere to work. So should we jump into the sales? Let's stop chatting and move on. Okay, our first sale, this is a sea salt top. It cost me £3.50, sold for £15.99. It wasn't promoted, which is wonderful. So the fees were £3.25 and my profit from this item was £9.44. I did have it for a little while and I think I would be a bit more picky on sea salt now because it just doesn't sell as quickly for me as what it used to do. I still pick it up, but just there's a lot of pieces that I'll actually leave behind. This toast dress was from Thrift Plus when they had a little bit of a sale on a little while ago, and it cost me around about £5. I'm just going to put an average of £5 because I say if I buy like 10 items and I pay £100 for those 10 items, then I'm just going to say they were £10 each. Even if one of them was 20 and like a couple were 5, they're just going to be £10 each. It's just an easier way for me to work it out. So the cost of goods was about £5. It sold for 30 and it sold really, really quickly. I know that you can get more than £30 for toast dresses, but this had a little bit of wash wear. So I listed it for 35 and then let it go for 30. The fees on this item were £8.23. It was a promoted sale. That's why the fees were a little bit higher. I promote my items at 6%. Don't ask me why. It's just a number I've plucked out the sky. And I'm probably going to start reducing that a little bit. But when I opened up my new store to try and increase sales, I went for 6%. So yeah, that's just where it is at the minute. And the total profit for this item was £16.97. This is actually one of my biggest sales for a little while. This is a RXO Dress and I also bought this on Thrift Plus. This is a £10 item because I only bought a couple of items from this. I do buy from Thrift Plus a lot, but I don't use them all the time. I only use them when I'm really struggling to find stock, or maybe I can't go outsourcing because I do have a 9-month-old. So it's a little bit difficult to go outsourcing all the time. But if I'm really struggling, then I'll pop onto Thrift Plus and just see what they've got, especially if they have a discount code, because we all love a bargain. This cost me about a tenner. It sold for £123.19 because I had a coupon on. The fees were £29.98 because she was promoted. Nearly £30 in fees. That is absolutely abysmal. But the actual overall profit was £83.41, which is still such a chunky profit that fine, give me those fees. Like if I'm going to get nearly 85 quid in profit from one item, yes please. This was from a wholesale palette that I did. I've done a few of these and they've been okay, but there's also a lot of tat in them, like a lot of tat. Look, there's some decent stuff, but a lot of tat. So wholesale is not my favourite route, but again, same sort of vein as the Thrift Plus. I got this wholesale palette when it was about 3 days before I gave birth. So I bought the stock to have for when I was on maternity. That didn't really happen. And yeah, I used it then. But it cost me about £5. It's a Tommy Hilfiger polo shirt. It sold for £30. Like it was brand new with tags, but it sold for £30, which was awesome. It wasn't promoted, which is even better, which means it left me, sorry, the fees were £5.32 and it left me with £19.88 profit. And it's a t-shirt, like it's so easy to process and photograph and measure and whatever. £19.88 on one t-shirt. I love that. Absolutely love that. £10 profit is where I like to be per item. Obviously not every item is going to get there because I do clearance, like I let things go when I've had them for too long and I'm sick of looking at them. But yeah, I'm really happy with that one. The only piece of non-clothing, don't ask me why I picked these up because I really could not answer that question. They were £2 in the charity shop for a whole set, like the whole set of bowls. There was also like a little round one in that set, which wasn't part of the set. Kept that one for myself for a little bit of decor for my office shelves because it's really cute. They are vintage teak wooden bowls, like a salad bowl, and then like lots of little like dishes. It cost me £2 for the whole set. They went for 25 quid. I hated packaging them. This is why I don't sell them. Like I don't sell anything other than clothing because I am not about boxes. Just give me a poly mailer that I can throw my items in, nicely folded, obviously, of course. But I'm just not about that cardboard box life. But anyway, they sold for 25. The fees were £7.07. It was a promoted sale. And obviously the postage was a little bit higher than I charged as well. I usually charge £3.70 an item on postage. But this one, I did charge the £3.70 for it. But the box was quite big and I think it cost me about £6. So that was my own fault. But that left me with a profit of £13.83. And I really loved having them. Chris packed them for me in the end. So it was a win-win situation really. And they were £2, so. This was a vintage buy. I bought 3 or 4 tops from this one lady. They were all cars, some of them were silk. I did have to get rid of one because it was a little bit trashed, but the rest of them were decent enough. It cost me £6, worked out £6 an item. It was promoted and it sold for £24.99 very quickly, so we love that. The fees were £7.06, again a promoted item, and the profit was £12.13. Now, I love shopping vintage. I love sourcing vintage, but again, it comes under that category of you are going to be paying a little bit more an item because say if your item is £5, once you put shipping and the salad protection fees on there, you're looking at like nearly £9 instead of a £5. So when I'm buying, I try and buy bundles and I'm not going to get as much profit from each item, but I paid £6 for this and doubled my money. Like it went for £12.13. So no, that's profit I got. I got £12.13, sorry. So for it to be shipped, like I say to my house, to the in-post locker, pick it up on the way to work. It's just very easy. Like I would rather pay a little bit more on vintage and just have the ease of it. But then you do get the people that aren't the most honest sellers. This is another Thrift Plus. This was from a while ago though. I left it on my rail when I was at home. When I was at home, my photograph station was not huge. It was really quite small. So anything that was long was a pain, such a pain to photograph because I just didn't have the space. So long items kind of just get left on the rail, like maxi dresses, jumpsuits. This was like a kimono beach cover up thing and it was really long. Absolutely gorgeous. Brand new tags, I want to say. Might be wrong, but I feel like it was. It cost me £5. It wasn't promoted and it sold for £25. Really quickly as well. The fees were £4.58, so I got £15.62 back from that sale. This is poetry linen, and poetry linen is usually really, really good. However, I've had this top forever, so I let it go cheap. It went on like I think it was a coupon because it went for £12.74, and that's really random, so I'm guessing a coupon. Either that or I sent out an offer of like 12 or 15% off. It was not promoted. I paid £4. The fees were £2.78, so I got £6.16 profit from that. So it's not reaching that £10 profit, but that's still £6.16 rather than redonating it, because after a while, when I'm so sick of looking at stuff, I just want to redonate it. But that was still £6 that I wouldn't have had if I had redonated it. I've had this one for a little while as well. This was a vintage deal jumper, like a striped, it's very nautical, like fisherman-esque. It was men's. It was £4.50 and sold for £24.99. It was not promoted so the fees were £4.57, and my profit on that item was £16.12, which is absolutely fine. I am more than happy with that kind of profit. Another vintage pickup, and this sold like overnight maybe. It was a very, very quick sale. I paid £9.49. It's a Bowden linen shirt, new with tags. It did go unpromoted, so I paid £9.49. It sold for £29.99 very quickly. The fees were £8.23, which left me with £12.47. So £12.47 profit from a £30 item. You think, oh, that's not very good profit, but it was overnight. Like, it got delivered. I picked it up, steamed it, photographed it, listed it, and it sold. Like, it was gone. It was in my possession for like a couple of days maximum. So I will take that £12 profit any day of the week if things are going to sell that quickly. More linen, but this was also from last year. This was an M&S linen t-shirt, quite pretty actually. It was £3 and sold for a tenner. The fees were £2.38. It wasn't promoted, so my profit on that was £4.82. So it was change, pocket change, but again, it all adds up, doesn't it? This one was really close to being donated, I'm not gonna lie. This Zara dress, I bought on Poshmark, and that's how long it has been. So it's £5 I bought this dress for. I bought it in a bundle of lots of other things, I believe. £5 it cost me. It was promoted as well, a promoted listing. Sold for £8.79. It was brand new with tags. The fees were £3.28, so I made a grand total of 71 pence on that sale. Not even sure I can buy myself a Freddo with that these days. I don't know, but yeah, this one very nearly ended up at the charity shop. This was my first time finding Ralston. I was very excited. It was on Vinted. I didn't pay up, but in total I paid £11.39, which is more than I usually spend on an item. However, I was very, very excited about this item. As you can see, she is beautiful. She sold very quickly for £45. Maybe I could have got more for it, but I've never sold it before, so I was kind of like testing, you know. £45. It was promoted. The fees were £11.74, steady, £11.74 on fees. So I was left with £22.07. And again, it was pretty much an overnight sale, like a couple of days maximum. And I didn't have to go out and source it. I sourced it from my sofa. So actually, let's be realistic. I probably sourced it from bed at like 10 p.m. But it was 22 quid in profit. So happy days. And then finally, not a very exciting sale, but one that I actually nearly kept for myself. So I'm glad that I sold it, because I don't wear dresses. It would have stayed in my wardrobe forever. And I didn't actually expect it to sell this time of year because it's very dark. It's like dark green and black, and it's a maxi. So I thought it's probably more autumn winter. However, she sold. Cost me £5 on Thrift Plus a little while ago. Hung on to it for a little while because, like I said, I was going to put it in my own wardrobe, but I just don't wear dresses. They just stay like into the hidden depths, you know, the back of the wardrobe. Don't get any love. So I decided to sell it. It sold for £16.99. I think I had it listed for £20 and then sending out offers like of 15-20% off, something like that. Off goes my light. The lights are automatic in here, so I actually think that lighting is probably better. Maybe I should have kept the lights off. Anyway, it sold for £16.99. Yes, it was promoted, so the fees were £5.18, leaving me with £7.01 profit for that item. Yeah, the lighting is a little bit yellow in here. I still need to figure that out a little bit. But yeah, that's everything that I sold on eBay over the bank holiday weekend. So from the Friday to the Monday, I did my post Thursday evening and then Tuesday morning. So yeah, Friday to Monday. My Vinted was pretty good, I'll be honest, over that weekend. There had been a hell of a lot of glitches on Vinted at the minute. I'm sure you're all suffering the same thing. Even from the buyer's point of view, there's a lot of glitches on Vinted at the minute. So we're just plodding on. But yeah, I'm not going to share those sales with you because I think this is enough for now. And I know people like the eBay ones with the profit and the fees and all that. So yeah, if you did enjoy it, as always, don't forget to give me a thumbs up because it really does help out my channel. And subscribe if you like this kind of content. I will be bringing more, maybe like once a month. That might be like, you know, like a monthly highlight. sales from the month. I don't know. Let me know down below what you kind of think to that. Monthly? Would you like them monthly, like just to pick out highlights? Would you like them weekly? I mean, to do... doing everything I've sold in a week is probably going to take too much time. I could do like a weekly highlight, a bi-weekly highlight, a monthly highlight. Let me know. Let me know. And yeah, with that, I am going to love you and leave you. And I will see you in my next video. Bye, everybody.